All right. Well, it's a pleasure to have YuZapata with us today for another Beyond the Canvas conversation with another Gamma Partner artist, which is always a great chat. Really looking forward to finding out more about YuZapata and his background and where he started. And you can see some of his amazing physical artwork behind him. And we know that he's been putting work on Bitcoin. But Yusa, welcome. Love for you to introduce yourself. You can go as far back as you want. Maybe you were like super creative as a child, like where did it all begin and how did you get to this point now?
Yeah, amazing, bro. Thanks for the invitation. It's really good to be here. My, my story is kind of similar to a lot of artists that I already know. I've been close to art all my life because my mom is a self-taught artist. So I was born surrounded by my mom paintings all over the house. She painted furniture, she painted canvases, she was painting all the time. So I was always involved in art. And that started to grow in me. So I decided to start painting and she started teaching me her techniques. Then she put me into classes because she didn't have the time to be teaching me to me all the time. And after that, I started creating comics. I really loved comics. And when I was about 8 years old, I sent one of my comics to Marvel Comics. In that time, we didn't have internet, we didn't have all this technology, so it was the classic mail style. It was beautiful to see they replied to me. It was really encouraging. Like they were like a handwritten uh, letter where they were telling me to keep up, to keep working. I was still very little, but it was a kind of a dream for me. Being in Colombia, we didn't have even comics coming from the US to Colombia, so it was amazing for in that part. And that was kind of my motivation to keep painting, to keep drawing, to keep learning. And when the time to find my career, I had to decide to go in a corporative way or in an art way. So I decided like the only thing in middle was graphic design. It was an art, but it had like a lot of creativity uh, inputs, and I started studying the graphic design. I'm really good at graphic design. Actually, I love doing what I do. After I finished my university, I founded a company. And now we are 19 years old company. We're focused on sustainability projects. So we bring creativity to these kind of sustainability projects, and it has been amazing to work with brands, to learn, to do all this marketing for other companies. But in 2019, around 2019, my associate told me like, man, I know you used to draw, you stopped drawing a lot of time ago, a long time ago. So if you want to keep drawing, here's a notebook, like a Moleskine notebook. I remember that one. And start making sketches. Maybe that will spark some more creativity. And actually, it did it. I started creating comics again, but this time were comics about funny things that I lived, that I had in my mind. I started creating this brand called Three Stripes Comics. And one day, one of my illustrations was, well, in the lockdown, one of my illustrations was selected by a New York firm that is called They Draw and Travel. They do illustrated maps, and this time the open call was for places that you miss to visit or to walk around because of the pandemic. So I draw a painting of my hometown, Cartagena, and they loved it. They put it in the book. It was like a I feel like a bell ringing for me. Like, hey, your art, what you are doing for clients and stuff, is one way, but you have some things in your head and your heart that people connect with that. And in that moment, I decided I wanted to become an artist. I think that's kind of the prequel story.
Yeah, and obviously then a lot has happened since, but let's talk about part of that story first. So it's cool. Yeah, it's amazing your mum led you into art and you mentioned you're from Colombia. I've been fortunate to have visited Colombia twice because one of my best friends growing up was from Cali. I've actually been to Cartagena as well. So
Oh, amazing.
I'm fascinated because it's such a vibrant and warm and also a very artistic city. I remember in Bogota, there's a lot of street art. I know you and your buddy, particularly Hudasaka and some of the other guys, I think Oliver, but I definitely Hudasaka, you do street art. We'll get to that. But, talk about, I guess, the impact of growing up in Colombia and it being a very vibrant, warm, at least this is a perception I got, art kind of like, and very passionate towards arts and culture.
Yeah, totally. And I feel like Cartagena is a city full of colors. You see all the streets are colory, they are full of flowers. You get these Caribbean vibes from the people. They are really nice. They are funny all the time. They want to make jokes, like they want to party a lot. So I grew up in that warm space. And yes, in Colombia, like everything has color, everything is like that. And I feel my street art is different because of that background, because it's a background full of joy and color, and it's not much into street. It's more into a city, like a full vibe of the city.
For sure. And, you mentioned that you then started a graphic design company. You said it's, not quite art. It's kind of that middle ground between corporate and art, but there's an art to it. Have you found that that experience has still like helped you and guided you as you've become more of a full-time artist?
Yes, is key for my growth as an artist, because when I first tried to, like, my first steps into art were of course into physical art. I went and I took graffiti classes in downtown Bogota. I live in Bogota. I've been living here for around 20 years, like the same time of my company. And I went into galleries to find out, all right, so I want to create art. What's the deal? How is this space working? And I really didn't like it at all. It was like really full of drama, full of jealousy. It was kind of a gatekeeped. I didn't feel like, okay, if I come from graphic design and advertising, that is a really, really hostile environment, and I will come as a hobby to another hostile environment, I'm not gonna enjoy this. But luckily, around in 20, like before, no, after the pandemic in 2021, I was having my first international exhibition in Miami, and I was next to Hudasaka, who I already met, and to Buitrago, who is also a part of artist on Ngama. He's a really close friend. We started talking about NFTs. Started talking about this world of digital art, and I was like, man, but if I'm ready, took a step outside of digital, that is graphic design for me, and to come to physical art, now I will have to come back to digital. I was like, not at all. Like, check this out. I took a picture of my paintings and I can mint it as an NFT. So to to understand that, I think I needed this background, like to understand there's another way of art that is based on technology, that's based on community. Also, here you have to self promote yourself all the time. So self promotion has been key for me for my growth as an artist, and I can do it here on X, on this community, thanks to my background as a graphic designer, and thanks to everything that I lived through other brands. And the graphic designs, I do all my graphic designs. Everything I do, it has like a teaser trailer, it has like videos, it has like a lot of things that I do graphic design all the time. For me, for One Love, now I'm working like really close with One Love, the community, to make everything look as the highest level possible, because that's what we are looking to do with our here. So is key for me, that formation as a graphic designer for my art career.
For sure, it makes a lot of sense, and shout out to the One Love Art DAO as well. That's how we initially became connected, and as well with Jennifer Pepin. So, talk to us about comics, because we can see some of the artwork up on your wall. We can see the pigeon behind you. If people have seen your artwork already on Gamma or not, they'll probably recognize that. Really, I guess like we'll call it like a cartoon style. Really, thick, interesting lines, very bold, very clean, like very comic style. You know, it's quite classic. It's a little bit nostalgic. Did that grow from your love of comics earlier? Has your, from your earliest cartoons, has it changed a bit, or have you maintained a bit of a style or not?
Yeah, that's an amazing question because it is the same pigeon that I drew on the first painting that I consider one of my first piece is the map of Cartagena. And in that map, there are two pigeons located near a church that is called the San Pedro Claver Church. And the pigeons look really funny and they have the same lines, the same colors. I still don't know why I painted the head blue and the legs yellow, but they are like that in the painting. I'm looking at the painting right now. And that's the same style. And that was the same style I was using in my comics. So I wanted to bring like something, well, it was like a natural thing that happened because after my classes, I met this artist, the graffiti classes, I met this artist called Pes Barcelona, and he has an art character. So I was like, okay, so graffiti is not only the letters, is also characters. And I love drawing characters. I've been drawing characters all my life. So what can I do with this? And I started to think like, if I am going to become a character, if my street persona is going to be a character, which character would that be? I wasn't that skilled with the spray at the moment, so I was like, man, to draw myself as a cartoon is really difficult. To draw cats, there are a lot of cats in the street art world, and I was sitting next to my painting of Cartagena. I was like, man, pigeons. They look really funny. Uh, they are from the street. They also have cultural connotations that they put them in another level, like a peace, dove, or hope, or even religious meanings. So I was like, man, the pigeon is the way. So I started like to create this universe inside of the pigeon, and I like the cartoon style of the pigeon. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna keep it, but I'm gonna make all the background on all the tags and colors inside of the pigeon. Like the pigeon is containing the street art story by himself.
Yeah, I love that. That's really well summarized. And to add to that, so you mentioned that you met Hurasaka and Buitrago, both Colombian artists, but you met them in Miami. Seems to be a bit of like a thriving scene, particularly at least in Colombia. And I guess, feel free to comment on how the NFT world, the ordinal world, then allows Colombians and other Latin Americans and obviously people around the globe to connect with artists and collectors around the world via the digital space. So it's funny that you were hesitant to come back to it, but then, how did all that, I guess, when did you realize that that's quite a powerful thing and then embrace it again?
I think that was like 2 weeks after I met with Rago. I met with Rago and like we had this exhibition, and in the traditional world of art, the upcoming artists are kind of treated really bad. You are in the last part of the gallery. Nobody talks about you. The gallerist walks by you with the collectors because they want to sell the biggest pieces, the bigger names, and we were like kind of left on the side. And I was like, okay, see, here I will have to start from zero, taking baby steps. But well, this is the way it works. I'm gonna do it. But when I talked to Witrago, it was kind of an eye-opening moment for me. Like this moment when I came back to Colombia and I was sitting with Hudasaka, and we were like, "Hey man, are we sure we want to enter this NFT world? I've seen things about NFTs, and they are normally like 3D things. They are AI generated. There are a lot of technologies, and we are doing street art. How are we going to do that?" And he told me like, "Man, you create everything on digital first in your iPad. It's just minting it in the blockchain." I'm like, man, this was really like a no-brainer there. But I told him like, okay, but I want to do an extra thing. Since I'm a graphic designer and I know a little bit about animation, I want to make them animated. So I took my time. I created a collection of my pieces that were showcased in Miami were like a band of palometas. They were a singer, a DJ, and a dancer. And I was like, okay, I imagine them dancing, I imagine them singing, and I imagine the other one mixing. I was like, okay, I'm gonna make the animation. So I want to come to this world. and I want to like what I had in mind was I want to belong to be part of this conversation. I don't know if I'm going to sell. I don't know if they're gonna like it. I don't know if there's any street art around, but I want to be part of this conversation because I feel this is going to be the future of art. Or is not it was not going to be the future, or at least was gonna be like a stage where my name could be carved into. So I was like, okay, I created my first collection, and in less than 12 hours, it was sold out. I was like, hey, there's something really interesting here. And some collectors contact me and told me like, hey, we love your art. We want to know, why are you here in the Web3 space? What's your goal? Like that question, you don't have that question in the world of art or street art. They wanted to know if I was going to be here for the hype or if I wanted to be here like for a long ride. And after I told them like this same explanation that I have mentioned here, they were like, okay, so I'm gonna collect more pieces and I'm gonna connect you with my community. I'm like, okay, this is really cool. Like a really warm welcome for a young, not that young, new artist.
Yeah, no, that's really cool, and that is the power of it. And we can see that you're here. Obviously, you and I are having this chat, and you've done so much, and you've created so. People just need to have a look at your profile, which we'll have a look at after, just to see like how prolific you've already been on Bitcoin. But before we get there, let's take a step back. We can see you're wearing your art with your hoodie. You've got your art on your wall. You and Hurasaka, get out and spray paint walls in and around Bogota. Tell us about the physical aspect of what you create and what you love about that, and then I guess the link to that and what you're creating digitally as well.
Cool. Yes, like my physical art, like since I'm a graphic designer and like my company does a lot of marketing, I, I started to create this in my mind, like, okay, Pigeon will really look good. And it's also like a free advertising place. Like people don't know where to put a full spray paint painting, but they want to wear it. And if they wear it, they're gonna be advertising my brand, my pigeon, my character, and also that's the same deal with the street art. I don't paint street art because I want to be like in the highest spot, because normally that's what street artists do, or maybe to create this brand where I say like I'm here, I'm here, I'm here. No, I'm more into places where people walk by. I wanted to use like fully advertising purposes. And it has worked for me because I don't have to fight with any of these graffiti artists. I don't look for difficult spaces. I just find like the place where I walk by every day and I paint something there, with or without permission. I enjoy doing it with permission because you can take your time, you can analyze, you can take pictures, take videos. So it's better. But if I don't have permission, I'll work something out. And here in Bogota, they have like a gray area around street art, so it's really nice to be here. So I have the street art, and I bring the street art into canvases. The canvas is the best way to bring my art and the happiness of my art into somebody else's home. So I really love that part when somebody connects with one of my canvases. And really, like, I feel humble because is something that came out of my mind, like a silly idea, a meme, something that makes me happy because my art is all based in small moments of happiness of everyday life, like normal things that happen to you. And if they connect with that, I'm really excited. I feel they have something in like a connection between us in their houses, and it's now part of his house. And when the collector sees the piece, he's going to feel that small moment of joy. And to convert this into like a merchandising is kind of an, a small pace. Like you take a small step into connecting with good providers. These hoodies and the t-shirts that I make, they are made in a place near Cartagena. They support a lot of single mothers with low resources, and it's really cool because Now I am applying a little bit of sustainability from my company into my art, and I'm helping people through my merchandising. And bringing all this into Web3 is an amazing 360 for me. I feel like I can do it in one way or in reverse. I can start painting in the wall, in the street. I can make a painting about that. I can create a hoodie about that, and then I can put it in Web3, and I can take somebody from the physical world into Web3 just through knowing my art. Like, hey, you saw this graffiti? Yes. Okay, I made a painting about this. Do you like the painting? I made an ordinal piece about this. What are ordinals? Ordinals are these, and I started like making all the pitch. And if they're into it, it's really cool to see like the whole path they walk through my art. And also I do it backwards. That is kind of the easiest way for me because I already have the digital. I always create digital first because I'm really perfectionist in what I want to do. And this digital shows people all around the world that I'm creating art, that I'm creating my palometa, the mood, the style, everything that I want to show in my art. And they can find out that I do street art, that I can do paintings, and if they like to collect physical pieces, they contact me, and I've sold pieces all around the world thanks to the Web3 space and to the people that I met in the Web3 space.
Yeah, it's brilliant how it can go, from digital to physical and also physical to digital. It's like a really beautiful uh, two-way street. And before, again, we're getting there. Before we have a look at some of the work that you've inscribed, I'd love to hear about, obviously, not just the exhibition in Miami, but yeah, when you have been presented in a physical space, that must be quite inspiring and quite the impact on you as an artist too.
Yes, like everything that I've been like the IRL spaces from the Web3 spaces are really like heartfelt. I really feel like we we are people who are talking like every day on X. We make jokes to each other. We say good morning to each other every day, and I feel that connection is like it becomes like stronger the moment when we get to meet IRL. So I feel these events and the upcoming events are going to be really really cool to meet more people. To I really feel like my family here in Web3. I feel like I don't have like a wish to try to go into physical art directly, but I like to bring like all my friends, the art, the talent that I know on Web3 to bring it into the physical space and to make a statement.
Yeah, it's so interesting. And what is the experience like? What's the vibe like in regards to Bitcoin and or crypto and Web3 in Colombia from your experience?
Bitcoin is the mother chain. Like I was really happy when another Colombian, she works with experts, when she told me like she was going to make the first group collection of Latin American artists. I was invited, Hudasaka was invited, um, Buitrago, Luco, and they invited us to make this launch event in Mexico. I was like, finally, I can talk to the physical place people or Web2 people about my art on blockchain, and they will understand it because here people only knows about Bitcoin. Bitcoin is everywhere. Medellin is a huge place for Bitcoin, as you know. They have Bitcoin ATMs. They make meetings all the time, but they are focused in the trading space of Bitcoin. Now that the ordinals are here, I feel it's really cool to talk with people about Bitcoin or people about ordinals or people about art in the same language. And it happens the same with the Web2 people. When you tell them like, okay, it's the same as my art, but I inscribe it on Bitcoin, and they're like, oh, Bitcoin, I know Bitcoin. They know the word, they know what's about, they know it's going up, they know when it's going down, they know like what happens with Bitcoin all the time. And like, why are you so well informed about Bitcoin? Because they see the potential on Bitcoin, and they have heard the name all the time. The other chains are a little bit difficult to explain, but I've been doing that since 2021, and I'm really used to that. Like new artists or new collectors come to me and like, hey, I want to know a little bit more about NFTs. All right, I take my book and I start reading them my story. Like, okay, I started like this. It's a place to meet people, to become part of a community. It's not like a market where you are going to come with your paintings. Like, hey, buy my paintings. No, it's more like to create these kind of connections that help you grow along the way, and to help what you bring to the community to help the community grow at the same time.
Yeah, it definitely really expands your network. And I think it's so interesting and important that it also is such a great place for showcasing obviously your art, YuZapata, but Latin American art. And I know that Colombia is just one part of Latin America, and I'm not saying that so obviously it's every place and every artist will bring something different, but it is so important for like perhaps like an underrepresented continent or country like Colombia in the art world, like you were saying, that experiences with like Wendy from Xverse and the whole ability to inscribe and becoming a partner artist and all of those sorts of things. Plus, you said people understand and know Bitcoin. So if you're like, oh, my art's on Bitcoin, they don't really need to ask a lot of questions. It already makes sense. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's super cool. And so it makes sense. Let's have a look at what you have inscribed on Bitcoin. So here's your profile. We have all of these absolutely beautiful birds, all the different birds from your Palometa series, birds from around the world, but sort of in your style, very cohesive, albeit different with different colors and different birds, like I said, from around the world. But yeah, talk to us about your Palometas, and then we can see obviously this was the bird that was
Of
part
course.
of the 10 by 10 collection, which was with
Yeah.
Xverse. Yeah.
Yeah, that was the first one, the real Genesis. The whole collection is my Genesis collection. When I was like learning a little bit about Bitcoin, I learned about like all the steps you had to take. It wasn't that easy to take a JPEG and mint it. It has like a little like some steps before, and one of those steps was the size. So it was an amazing challenge for me because my art is super. It has a lot of texture because
Yeah.
the spray paint, the tags, a lot of things inside of the of the image, and now here I had to make it minimal. So I developed this. I called it minimalistic street art style. That it has all my like signature
That
things
makes sense. Like
from my style.
signatures. Yeah. Yep. Yep.
Yeah, like the drips of the spray paint, the happy colors, the birds. I chose the birds not only for his colorfulness, but for the way they looked. They looked like they could like uh, they were similar to the style of Palometa. Palometa is kind of a badass pigeon who wants to be bad, but he's not bad. He's kind of naive into that space. So I felt some of those small birds look really, really badass. They have a lot of colors. That's why I created this collection called Unordinary Palometas because they were on ordinals. And they were not Palometas. They are similar. They all embody the essence of Palometa, and they are birds from all around the world. So I felt this collection was really powerful, really colorful, and this is what I wanted to bring to Bitcoin as my Genesis collection. And something funny about this collection is that Scotiabank Colombia took a look of this collection and they really loved it. They were in love with the collection to the point that they wanted me to make a screen print collection of these same birds for their gift of the end of the year for the higher level customers of the bank. And I was like, this really validates what I'm doing here. Like I created this in this specific style for Bitcoin, but now people are interested in that because it's my same style, but it's kind of different. It's a little bit sober, but still colorful, and they loved it. They made the prints. There was a huge work at the end of last year, and yeah, the CEO of Scotiabank, he owns one of the paintings because I also painted some of them on canvas, and they are like a totally different experience. So it's really really cool to see my the full collection here and now inscribed the way it has to be inscribed with the patent, with like all the legacy. I feel is amazing.
Yeah, it was really cool working with you to do that and connecting it all up and really preserving your legacy, which, again, I think, feel free to speak to it, is so important for an artist. And then obviously so important, all artists, but particularly from Latin America, where, like there's such rich culture and it's such a way to preserve and sustain that culture.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And the way to do it, like in this order, like it makes total sense to me since I'm really, really strict on the order that I do things. I have like a plan, I want to follow it step by step. Of course, I am able to make some experiments and stuff, but I really love this way to showcase the art. Like this is inside of this collection. This collection has this look, so I'm gonna make this pattern for this collection. The next collection is gonna be this one, and it has this look, and under that collection is gonna come all my art. And it's a really good way for the collector to read the artist. I feel it like that. Like the collector is gonna see, like, okay, this is the Genesis collection. This is why he did this collection. Now I am. Uh, this is also a fun fact that I haven't inscribed any single like fully operational Palometa, like a full Palometa is not part of this collection. The first one that I inscribed was a painting that I did, like an astronaut Palometa, and the collector asked me if I had the ordinal because somewhere he heard somebody talking about ordinals and NFTs and blockchain, and he was like, "Oh, I know you are working with this. Uh, by any chance, you have this one inscribed as an ordinal?" I'm like, I don't have it, but I will do it right away. And I did that inscription, and he got it right away. He's really happy with the two pieces. Like he's like the perfect word for me is that he has the painting and also has the original.
Yeah, that's so exciting. I love that they're tied together like that. And I think for collectors moving forward, it's going to be really fascinating, you know, to be able to do that, to be able to have a physical that's, call it authenticated or backed up by the digital, or maybe the physical is the authentication for the digital. Like, who knows how they'd like to think about it. And yeah, talk us through. Like you've got all of these birds from around the world. They've all got so much character. They're also kind of like eclectic and quirky and beautiful. But you have your distinct style. Tell us about like color choice and how you go about getting it on chain, because it's really not an easy thing to do when you have such vivid and bold colorways and lines.
Yes, I feel to choose the colors, to choose the shapes and stuff. I started like my first study was asking people like about birds. I started asking people who knew about birds. Tina from the Hog was one of the inspirations here. She knows a lot of things about birds, so she started telling me a little bit more about this bird, and I started making some research, and it was really cool because I started discovering a lot of birds that live here in Latin America. There are some birds like the quetzal, who is a national uh, treasure of Guatemala. Like a lot of important facts about the birds, and I'm like, okay, this is a really amazing way to figure out because I only choose this bird because it looks badass.
Yeah.
He looks like that, and he has a lot of colors. But it was really really nice to see this and to have this strong outline containing the spray colors is really 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 cool. I feel when I first did all the designs on Procreate, it was really cool to make this experiment, to jump out of my box and start thinking in minimalistic style. And then when I started painting them on canvas, it was really challenging because I am really perfectionist. And I even had to use my VR lenses to make the trace, to see like all the spots of colors are in the same place as the digital. And I managed to do it with the Quetzal that I showcased last June in Utah Gallery with One Love in New York. Was really, when you see the digital and you see the physical, they are like perfect. They're the same.
That's awesome. Yeah, I love that attention to detail, and you can really see it. You can see, people can jump onto your artist profile and have a look at each of the birds, and they're so unique. It's funny, even though they're all unique and they're different birds, they do look like a family a little bit because of your like, the cohesion and your distinct style, which I think is quite a special part of it.
Yeah, they are like the same flock, like they're all different. I feel this also could represent a little bit of the Web3 communities. You have all these different styles, all these different people. Some people come to connect, to collect. Some others comes to showcase their art. Some they have different styles, but you become friends because like you have all the same goal. Here, the goal was to bring this colorful art to life, like to bring a lot of colors, a lot of joy to the first collection. And I wasn't going to bring a palometa, but I brought like a palometa in different pieces. So you see one that it has like the attitude, like a gangster attitude of Palometa, like the gala over there, or you have some cute little birds. They have like the cuteness of Palometa. You have others who look really menacing. So you have all the specs of the Palometa's attitude inside of the different birds are in the collection.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm going to bring up the astronaut. I love it. We can see it's linked into your family tree. So this is under YuZapata pigeons, which sits underneath the other inscriptions. So for people who don't know what that means, whilst we're talking about it, if you're listening or watching, it means that on chain on Bitcoin, all of the pieces are tied together, or there's like on chain linkage. So whatever happens in the future, you'll be able to bring up that information, or it'll be available on different explorers and platforms, and you'll see that they're connected. You know that YuZapata was the artist. It's like you can't that's like the on-chain proof. You can't remove that. It's
Can
immutable. It's
trace it.
really, yeah, exactly. It's like it's a family tree that's on chain forever. So it's a very special way for artists to preserve their legacy, but also essentially uh, preserve provenance, which I think is very special. But yeah, we look at this, again, all of your like little hallmark signatures. There's the tags, there's the interesting lines, there's the palometa, there's like the graffiti, the spray. A lot of what you've been talking about, we can see in this piece.
Yeah, this piece is really special because this piece is celebrating. I I met Bit Basel some time ago, and they told me about this moon art gallery they were creating, and I decided I wanted to be part of this moon gallery in some time. So I started painting this palometa as an astronaut. The first one was only wearing the helmet, and the second one was already like taking the trip to the moon, and that one was chosen to go to the moon next year. So this third one, this is what is called Aim for the Stars 3, is celebrating that she's already on the moon. She's sitting on the moon. The moon is enjoying this company and is bringing all these colorful shapes, vivid uh, shapes and colors to the space. It also has the tag of Aim for the Stars. All of the pieces has the same tag. And I already created the number four edition, and the number five is coming next year.
That's a little bit of alpha for those who are listening, and that's great. It sounds like you liked. I don't, correct me if I'm wrong, but from what I've seen, you like to work in a series. You like to kind of like evolve and kind of like grow collections, or at least kind of like, yeah, grow a series.
Yeah, for me it's like I have an idea in my mind, and I start uh, trying to develop this idea, but I create a lot of things around this idea. So I created the Palometa wearing the helmet, then on a satellite, like on the way to the moon. The third one is in the moon. The other one is thinking about what to do after the moon. And that one is really important because now it belongs to a collection that is Crypto Contigo, a collection made for Univision Foundation, and all the funds goes to helping people. So it's really cool to know that your art is helping. And the next one is going to be the one leaving the moon to, I don't know, to explore. I created like all this aim for the stars, and I think this provenance of Bitcoin helps me to bring this mindset order into a blockchain. And as I told you, like it's a really good way to feel the collector or in the future people are going to read the story of my art through these inscriptions in the way that I am doing.
Yeah, it sounds like that you are that, the bird that's going to go and further explore the horizons. And then if we pull up, these haven't been compiled into a collection yet, but there's well, for those who are listening, you're not going to be able to see them, but some new art that YuZapata is bringing, or has inscribed and is going to be bringing to Gamma, which you're then collaborating in a way with Buitrago, who you met in Miami. So it must be kind of fun. First, maybe touch on that you find, I don't know if you've collaborated with him before, but to collaborate with someone who was at the beginning of your journey into NFTs and ordinals and now to be, on ordinals with him, that's very special. And then tell us about the collection and what we're looking at here.
Yeah, man, he's a really important part in my career, for real. Like, to have met in that moment of my history was a game changer, and I always thank him for that. He's also really humble, really nice, really cool people to. Yes, like all the time he has been like a sensei for me because he gets into one style or one blockchain or one technology, and he starts investigating. He started like developing a lot of cool things, and I started to like when I made my unordinary Palometa collections, I was like following his steps, and he was creating some interactive code generated art that I was really blown away. I also own one of his pieces, one of the physicals. Oh, I have it over there. I have to, all the collections that I do, I have some here, and I have to put some on the stairs because there are a lot of artists that I want to showcase in my house. One of them is Buitrago, and yeah, when I started thinking about this collection, this is a really cool alpha because we are not launching this collection until next week in physical, digital. We're having an event in Miami, in the Gates Hotel. You are all invited if you listened to this before, but this is going to be like a big launch event where I'm going to showcase the digital, the physicals, and the ordinals. And they are all inspired in these moments when you share a drink with somebody else. So the collection is called Cheers. This is like a really cool mix of ideas that I have about some cocktails. I'm really into mixology. I really love the way a lot of ingredients create something new, like different plants, different even temperature. Like they have a lot of things of science in the mix, and they create something really cool for you to enjoy, for you to share with somebody that you like, that you love, that you care for. And I decided to create this collection. So I started thinking about this collection only for physical art because I was focused on an exhibition that I'm having next year. And I decided to create the ordinal version because it was going to give me the opportunity to create this animation through time that I wanted to do. And Buitrago was the one to call to. Well, first of all, I wrote to you like, Brett, I have this in my mind. How can I? Is this possible? Is this possible, or am I like aiming too high? You gave me like some examples and stuff, like a guide, and I was like, okay, I have this guide. I don't understand this guide. I know somebody who does. So Witrao was my first call, and he was like, all right, let me look on it and let me investigate. And man, this guy delivered. The collection looks amazing. The colors, the textures. The Palometa is having fun like in all the scenes. And I don't know if I should like give this alpha here, but the collection is and not interactive. The word is dynamic, dynamic collection of a drink. So you get a cocktail that is gonna be evolving depending on the time of the day you see it. So if you see it in the morning, it's the same cocktail, but Palometa is interacting differently with the cocktail. When you see it in the afternoon, Palometa is interacting in another way. And if you see it by nighttime, Palometa has a different interaction. So you have like three pieces in one. And after that, when I finished this, I was like, no, I have to paint this also on physicals. So like the same as the collector path that I wanted to trace, I did it in my head. Like, all right, I want to paint these huge uh, paintings like that one over there,
Mm-hmm.
but I want something on chain. So okay, I'm going to ordinals. This is gonna be my first full palometas on ordinals, full collection on ordinals. It's gonna be on gamma, and after that, I went back into physical. Like I created small canvases with all these cocktails for the collection.
I love that. Yeah, we've said, the art, it's almost been not on purpose, a bit of a thread that we're talking about how we go from physical to digital and then digital back to physical for both collectors, but also for yourself as an artist. And yeah, shout out and hats off to Buitrago. It sounds like you two have had a lot of fun, concocting this up together and also seeing that really fascinating confluence between illustrated art like your art and then code, like with what
The code.
Buitrago creates and how that's possible and able to then be preserved on Bitcoin. So two Colombian artists who can create in such different styles who met very fortunately, bringing something to life together.
Yeah, to bring this connection. Like his style is really different from mine. Uh, his motivations for art are really different. He makes poetry. He makes like a lot of like high end high art class, like a pure fine art, and I'm more like street style. And it's really, really fun to see that in technology we found each other and we started creating things together. So I gave him some tips about creating his physical art, like after the code. I told him like, okay, you should do this with with a pattern. We give each other tips all the time. We like to work together. We like to make exhibitions. He comes sometimes to Bogota and we meet here in Bogota. Now that I have my studio with Hudasaka, would be really cool to like open the doors to all the artists and builders like you to the studio because I feel we're creating something for the artists, for the community. So yeah, I think these connections happen for a reason, and I think here's the reason: the Cheers collection.
I love it. Well, YuZapata, it's been an absolute pleasure, diving a little bit more deeply with you into where you came from and what you've created and your plans and all of the fun that you've had and really enjoy having a look through your artwork. I'm sure it's going to be so good for more people to learn who you are. I'm very excited to be working with you at Gamma and to be obviously hosting and launching this upcoming collection with you. And as your piece says, like aim to the stars. It's exciting stuff.
Yeah, man. No, thank you for having me here and for all the support you give me and all the artists with the platform, with like any questions for from promoting to creating. Like you're always there. The platform has been amazing for me. Like a really cool place to be. And yes, the like all this has happened for a reason. I'm aiming for the stars, and it's gonna be like for a long time. We're gonna have a lot of palometas and a lot of art and creations by YuZapata here in the space.
Well, that's exciting. Thank you so much, YuZapata.
No, thank you, and man, you're welcome to Colombia anytime you want to come back. This is your house. Cali es tu casa.
I hope so. I do hope so again. Definitely. It's a brilliant place, amazing people, and yeah, it'll be a pleasure to hang out in person.
Yeah, no, man, and I want to like extend the invitation here. to the Cheers collection. It's gonna drop on December 4th. You're gonna love it. It's gonna have a lot of colors, a lot of dynamic dynamic programming. It has uh, everything that is coming for 2026. I'm having a big exhibition on April with my university and next to Hudasaka that I'm gonna be showcasing the whole pieces. We're gonna be showcasing the ordinals, so it's gonna be amazing to finally come to a big exhibition in the Arbo, that is the Bogota Art Week, and we're gonna have an amazing place to make this happen. So hopefully we're gonna count with Gamma support for this part, and we're gonna make an amazing Web3, Web2, street art, a mix of everything to showcase in the in a really cool place and a really cool space like in Bogota.
All right. Well, lots to look forward to. Thank you so much again.
Yes, sir. Thank you.